What's up, guys? It's your girl D from the Voices Gathering Live podcast show. We are in the building. Welcome to the Jewel Box. Let's get ready to embark, embrace, reach out for a great conversation. Hey, everyone. Hey, everyone. I see people in the chat. Say hello to me so I can say hello back to you. How's everyone doing? New show, same topic. Hey, everyone. What's going on? I'm waiting for you guys to say hello to me because I don't want to start too fast and miss shout outs to people. But we won't delay. So if you're in the conversation via the comment section, by all means, use your key. Your key is your thumb up button. Click that thumb up button and give the show a like right now. You come back, so you must enjoy the show. So come on in and do the thumbs up. While you're doing that, I'm in my thoughts. So I remember someone telling me this week that they didn't understand the house rules. Well, which tells me they're new to the show. So I don't want to bore you guys with the house rules. So if you always just come in, immediately click that thumbs up button and say hello in the comments. And then when the show is over, go ahead and click that share button. You would have already mastered the rules of the platform. So let's keep that going. Let's keep the momentum going in that way. That way I don't have to take up time explaining the house rules because you're here to have a conversation, not always know how it operates. But I won't stop telling you until you do it. All right, people, welcome to Voices Gathering Live. I am your host, as always, Diamond, and we're here to have an interesting conversation about a topic that we had last week. Hello, Miss Malave, my love. How are you? Glad to see you, as always. Thanks so much for being here. Okay, look, I wanted to jump right back into a conversation from last week. OMG, was this topic a very interesting heavy hitter for a lot of people? I got so many emails through the website, and I wish those who are not using the website, please check the website out. Please get interactive with that. Actually, don't go to Google and type in YouTube. Go straight to www.voicesgathering.com. Use that way to come into the show by clicking the show Voices Gathering Live podcast tab at the top, the navigation bar, and you'll be able to jump right in. Hello, Rob. Hi, Rob. What's up? How are you? As always, you're there and showing up, and I appreciate you as well. So, getting back to this. So, I got so much feedback about last week's show on this topic. Go where you're celebrated and not tolerated. I mean, in person, face to face, and through the website. And I was like, whoa, okay, so people were watching. I need people to remember, I can't tell you're watching if you're not commenting, even if you show up and saw part of the show. It's important to thumb it up, and just say hi. You don't have to be long-winded if you don't want to be in that comments long-winded. Don't do that yet. Hopefully you get comfortable with that. But you don't have to do that. But you got to say hi so I know that you were there. All right. Look, let's revisit last week's conversation, part 2. Go where you're celebrated and not tolerated. Some people have been asking me, what is up with that show? You know, when I first saw the show, I didn't understand it. I mean, like, isn't this like very childlike? Not that they were calling me childlike, but this person in particular, they were saying how, do we actually need people to tell us that they celebrate us? I thought that was a very interesting question. So I listened more in depth, and specifically this one person. I was like, okay, well, wait a minute. Let me think about this. So I allowed them to share a little bit more. And they talked about not work or the place of worship, which was the 3 places I was talking about. Family, social network, and also where you worship, right? And the person actually started within their home with their significant other and their children. I was like, okay, tell me more. So they are of a different culture, and this culture has a different way of showing celebration, appreciation, love. They have a different way of doing that. So I'm like, okay, cultural awareness. I have to know about that, right? So I'm like, okay. Then they explained to me that their children were born, they're more Americanized here in the States, right? Opposed to where the family's coming from. And what I'm not going to do is I will always be transparent about my situation or my thoughts. I don't want to put other people out there. So I'm leaving some things out unless that person ever comes into the chat and wants to share their own experience in detail. But again, the person is not of American descent, nor is this person single. This person is married with children, and they share with me that their children have a more Americanized way of looking at things. And the person sharing with me says, well, I couldn't believe my children were saying certain things or exhibiting certain behaviors in a way that depicted their parents did not appreciate them, celebrate them, i.e., I use love them. Excuse me. So I'm like, okay, well, let's look at that. Let's look at that. Tell me why. And they was like, well, listen, I said to my oldest child, this is the conversation I had. I said to my oldest child, well, what do you mean? You're going to a private school. You have the best of everything. And I know this person is very much in tune with their family, at least from my lens, right? So the person is saying that the children were just saying like they didn't feel appreciated. They feel like this was an obligation that you're going to the best school, so you have to get the best grades, all those things, so forth and so on. So I'm like, okay, I get it. Then they brought their significant other into the equation. How the person says, Diamond, it made me think, is the person I'm married to at times feeling that they're being tolerated opposed to being celebrated? And I tell you, that made me feel good because the conversation had resonated with this individual, not from an out lens, but a more inward lens. They were looking at their own family dynamic. That's one scenario. Let's move on to the next. A couple of the other conversations in my messages via email were like, I never thought about it that way. I often thought about I was not being appreciated or celebrated until you talked about it from taking a personal perspective of it and looking at it from your lens. And they started saying, or at least two, wait a minute, but I don't think I actually was celebrating the person. I think I was just kind of tolerating them and waiting for them to celebrate me. That's deep. That is deep. That you're waiting for someone to celebrate you, but yet you are only tolerating them. That doesn't make any sense. So let's slow this puppy on down. And I want to help people understand the context of this show today. Some people believe that because you are saying that you are feeling tolerated and not celebrated, that you need people to be jumping through hoops in a way of saying and showing that they celebrate you. And I'm saying that is not the case in this conversation. Hello, Alice. I'm not sure I recognize the name, but welcome to the show. I hope you're here to stay, and I'm glad to see you here. Back to the conversation. So, I think people think that that's what needs to happen. And it doesn't need to happen. I think that people who believe that you need to be throwing confetti at them and always blowing them up, I appreciate you, I love you all the time. I think there's a lax in that person, right? Now you are trying to compensate. You're trying to overcompensate. Hi, Aunt Diamond. Okay, I don't recognize the name, but someone calling me Aunt Diamond is okay. I can't see the picture, but anyway, sorry guys. I'm always going to be looking at the comments because I want to be in tune with what you guys are saying. But hello to whoever that is. Anyway, that they're overcompensating. They're overcompensating in a way that it's almost not ingenuine, right? Oh, you need me to always say that I love you. I'm there for you. I appreciate you. So I'm just going to just like blow you up with this all at once so that you can't say that I don't do that any longer. That is such a band-aid on a big sore that it's just going to be messy altogether. That does not work. People need to start getting real on both ends. People who are not celebrating and appreciating people and just tolerating them need to take recognition of that. And people who are also expecting people to tolerate them and appreciate them, but they don't even know how to get that back, need to take inventory of that. We live in a very selfish society. Let's be very clear. Very selfish. Oh. I know exactly who that is. Sorry, guys. Yes, and that is truly, I'm that person's true blunt aunt. Hi, baby. How are you? Welcome to the show, sugar. Okay. It threw me off a second, and I know the name for sure. Anyway, so what I want to do is help people to understand their place and their position. Too often people are making excuses for not being able to get what they need and not showing up for the way the other person need. We need to first take ownership in our position. We are only accountable for our position. Last week, I said it is only my responsibility to do my part in the relationship, meaning I need to show up in the relationship by way of appreciating and celebrating you and not just tolerating you. And look at this piece of the tolerating. I think at some point in our relationships, we do tolerate something. But there's a difference in tolerating something and tolerating a person. Catch it? I tolerate that sometimes you could be a little short-tempered and not understand where I'm coming for 24/7. I get it. But to just tolerate you as a person because you are just a number, you serve a significant, you serve something for me, that I'm just going to tolerate you. It's very selfish. It's one-sided and very selfish. Do you know that there's people in a nuclear family, the family, mother, father, children, are just tolerating each other in their nuclear family? Catch it. I'm just tolerating you. You're being tolerated right now because you are my sister. You're being tolerated now because you are my uncle. You're being tolerated now because you are my mother, my father. I'm just tolerating you. OMG. If that doesn't set a person up for failure, especially children, to go out into the world tolerating relationships because all they know was to tolerate relationships within their family. There's something off about that. We are responsible to show up whole. And if we're not whole when we enter into relationships, it is my hope that you're entering into relationships where people can pour into you so you can start to formulate a wholeness. Right? That's what it really is about. It's really about you coming into the relationship whole and unapologetic about you being whole and not feeling like you can't show up as you are and say what you need in that relationship. It's selfish of people to think that, oh, well, don't show up the way you wanted to show up. What do you mean? Listen, those in the comments, have you ever, make this first, this is about you first. Have you ever entered into a relationship and asked someone else, it could be a family member, friend, or colleague, have you ever asked someone else, what do you need from me to get where you're going to make the next move? What do you need from me? What can I bring so that you can reach the next step? Have you ever just asked someone that question? I'll wait. If you did, throw a thumbs up. Matter of fact, if you did, throw a diamonds emoji in the chat. If you have ever in your personal life, be it on your job, with your friends, your family, just said, what do you need from me? And been open to listen to what they say. Because I know I do. I've learned to do that more. Okay, Alice has definitely done that. Okay, wow, that's good to know that you've done that. I mean, listen. Okay, thanks for the diamonds. Have you ever just said, What do you need from me? And for people who are not used to hearing that, they can take that. Well, what you mean? I'm not asking you for nothing, because they're already on defense. And if they're on defense because of that question being asked, I'm willing to roll the dice and say to you that they have never really been asked that question from a genuine place. They haven't. They absolutely have not. They have not had someone ask them that question from a genuine place. So now they're on defense, feeling like, well, wait a minute. I don't know how to show up and ask you what I need, because now you're making me feel kind of funny or guilty for asking you or telling you what I need. Sticky, right? People first, those who are in need of healthy relationships. It doesn't matter where you are and who the other person is. It's your responsibility to learn how to show up authentically, unapologetically you. And that if someone doesn't understand why you are showing up in that space the way you are, it's their job to go figure out them. Because once they do that, then they can come back to the conversation not feeling like, whoa, attack, not feeling like, oh, wait, you're being a little funny, or, oh, wait a minute, I can't say my honest views about whatever it is I need to say to you without feeling bad about it. I'm telling you, a lot of this starts with us. A lot of it starts with us. A person can only give you what you allow them to give you. I am one of the people, again, full transparency, that it was difficult for me to allow people to show up in a way that was me not feeling like, oh, wait a minute, I'm feeling a little bit like, oh, shameful, like maybe I shouldn't be in this way, showing myself like this, showing my cards like this. Here's an example. So if there's somebody in the chat that I reached out to and asked them for support and help. Now, I have to tell you, based on that person who's in the chat right now, I didn't second think about asking them for their support. I didn't, because that person I typically see show up for people unapologetically and very meeting them where they're at, And that's a good thing. That is a good thing. This person, oftentimes, I think to a detriment, will show up for people in a way that they take on too much of that person. I think that could be the tweaking of the person in the chat. And this person know who they are. I mean, it's a good quality that they have. I think a lot of us can take a page from the person I'm thinking about in that way. But there's a balance to that. There's a balance in showing up in a relationship and being there for someone, but allowing them to experience their own experience. Not you take on their experience for them. I see some comments. Let's see what we got going on up in here. We're always trying some new things in the show. So let's see what we got. Okay. Oh. Let's see what iRob said. Let's see what iRob said. Huh? Let's see. Hold on, guys. This is what you call a woman doing her own show. So, you guys hang in there. Let's see what iRob say. Oh. Okay. I think people should appreciate how someone shows up for them when they do, because maybe people aren't capable of showing up the way someone wants them to. Oh, I agree. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. Yes, yes. Can I just say, I, Robin, I think that's a good comment. Thank you for sharing that comment. It is, but it's my job. It's my job to show you. It's my job to show you how I need you to show up for me. And how I do that is by showing up for you, right? If people understand that it's an exchange, it's an exchange. That's what it is. It is really just an exchange. So if I show up to you unapologetic, saying, how can I be there for you? What do you need? And not just lip service. I can't stand people who are lip service. Well, I actually did what you need. Now, even with that attitude, you asked that because you felt like you were obligated, not because you wanted to. I've seen a lot of those. They just feel like they are, oh, I'm obligated to just show up. Well, since I'm obligated to show up because you're making me feel that way, I guess I'll just say what I got to say. Okay. Okay. If that's what you say. But Rob, I think that's a good comment. I absolutely do. Oh, welcome to the show, Stephanie. My girl. Okay, let's see what Miss Malave says. When my significant other does the dishes or tell me I am his best friend or even asks me my opinion, he is celebrating me. I agree. I celebrate him as well with gestures. Yes, yes. See, listen. Thank you, Naomi, for sharing that. I want people to be very clear when I'm having this conversation. Not that you're not, but those to come and watch the show. I want people to understand that when I say go where you are celebrated and not tolerated, it doesn't mean that those are perfect relationships. It means that you're being celebrated. You're not made to feel guilty for who you are and what you need. I see it day in, day out. In my personal relationships with people, I've seen people do that to other people. And I've seen it in the kind of work I do when people are telling me their situation and I'm evaluating the situation to see how I can help with what kind of services they need. I see more people, honestly, I kid you not, as a counselor, being tolerated and not celebrated. If you look, as I said last week on social media, if you look at these so-called quotes, reality TV shows, you will see more tolerating and not celebrating. I'm telling you, this is not something I'm making up. And I'm telling you, if you look at it from a lens in which I'm painting the picture, you might be, wait a minute now. Yeah, that happens more often than it does not happen. So I just want to be clear that, yes, I get it, but it's happening more and more day in, day out. Okay, Alice, what you got there? I think everyone has to be mindful that the way you might want to show up for someone isn't always the way someone might need you to. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. I'm sure you guys can see it, but because we're doing new things and making things happen on this good platform here, we are going to just go right on to there because I think that is worth showing and sharing. Because if she didn't say that well, I don't know who did. Okay, so check it out. I absolutely agree with that. I don't know how many, I asked the question. I don't know how many people ask this question. What do you need me to do? How do you need me to show up? I think people just say they show up, just say they showed up, that this is how they show up. This is a very good comment. It absolutely is. When you walk into a relationship, just thinking, well, I'm going to show up this way. Well, we all do that, right? We just show up who we are in those relationships. The question becomes, in those relationships, are you asking the other person, hey, what do you need? How can I help? What is it that we can do to make this situation better for you? You know, it feels good when I am reaching out to someone without them expecting me to. It feeds me. It makes me feel good to reach out genuinely and say, what do you need? They don't care about you being tired. Actually, why are you telling them you're tired or you got so much on your plate? Then don't ask the question. Just show up. Just show up. That's all. All you got to do is show up. But this comment is very, very true. If we just look at it from this lens that Alice had shared with us, I think that we could understand this a little bit better. And again, I don't know too many people doing that. I didn't say nobody. I don't know too many people. I think most people show up in relationships thinking, well, this is how I'm showing up because this is who I am. As you should. But it's Diamond's responsibility to find out in my relationships with my significant other, my family, my loved ones, what do you need? I can tell you that Alice can tell you. There's a number of people that can tell you. I'm like, what do you need? And sometimes people don't ask what do you need because they don't ask what you need because they don't know how to ask that question. They don't know how to ask the question what you need. And why is it that people don't know how to ask that question? Why don't people know how to ask someone what do you need without them feeling awkward? That's a good question for you to ponder over. But also be mindful of the overly showing up and receiving bare minimum, back and accepting. Oh, come on. Alice is on a roll up in chia. And this is the first time she's a newbie to the show. So Alice, you bringing some good stuff. Another one worth sharing. Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And this is what I mean about this being the conversation. This is what I mean about being the conversation. So I'm glad that this is resonating with even our new viewers who are coming to the show. Absolutely. I absolutely agree. We have a job to do. We have a job to do that requires us showing up, teaching people how we want to be celebrated. We don't need you to go get confetti and all those different things. We don't need you blowing the trumpet. That's so lame. We don't need that. What we need is you to show up in a way that we don't have to feel bad by asking you to show up. We don't have to question, are you showing up because you really want to show up, or you just showing up because now I am in this conversation of, oh, you know what? How do you show up? I'll tell you that my significant other, I tell him all the time, you'll never have to guess how I need you to show up because I'm going to tell you. And then I'm going to allow you to figure out how you put that whole puzzle together and show up. When I look at me and the way I look at it, maybe someone can relate to this. I don't require much. I really don't think I do. For some people, I might. For them, I would say I was been in relationships with people who made me feel like, wow, I'm asking for a lot when I wasn't really asking for anything. You know? But I digress. Many people can relate to that. It makes no sense whatsoever that you have relationships with family, friends, colleagues, and you are feeling unappreciated, being tolerated, and not celebrated. Someone saying thank you, I appreciate you. The person who I was talking about earlier in the show walked into my office and said, I appreciate you. And they were giving me a token of love, right? And I was like, oh, thank you. And then it clicked. I was like, oh, you watched the show. They didn't comment because they were watching the show or listening to the show while they were driving. So I said, okay, I get it. And it made me chuckle. And we talked a little bit more in depth about what I shared earlier on the show about them taking a more in-depth look at the conversation in the context in which I was delivering it and took it and applied it to their family. And when they took it and applied it to their family, they started saying, now I need to look at this a little bit more different. Not that they were a bad person, not a good parent, not a good significant other, but they need to look at it from a different lens because the lens they were looking at was their lens, not someone else's lens. Okay, let's see. Got some comments here. I think that's where a lot of depression comes from in newer generations, not fully understanding love and what that means. And I should have my glasses on, guys. Sorry. And though you should come as you. Okay. Yes, I agree. But truly an understanding that love and live require adaptability, especially love, because you're opening to another identity. But you have to know how to do that without removing the healthy blocks. I am so proud of the person, Alice, in the comments. Excuse me, because I am very proud. Thank you for sharing. Lack of understanding what we are capable and able to give can make awkward and uncomfortable to ask. Yes, yes, Naomi. Yes, 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 yes. I swear I'm going to have an engineer in the studio one day. Y'all watch and see. You know the show has grown over time, but I'm going to have an engineer working in here to work this board because doing this by myself, it takes time. But I'm hoping you guys appreciate it. I like this. I like this. I like this. I do. Absolutely. Lack of understanding what you are capable and able to give can make it awkward and uncomfortable to ask what you need. I have been there. I have been there. I've been there. But you know what? I've been there in that space. I've been there in that space with people who don't really know me. Not people who know me, but this may be for someone else but absolutely. Absolutely, Naomi. That is a good one. Absolutely. So, how do we remove the barrier that I want to take from Alice's comment so that we can get up to the place that the other person and people in our lives understand who we are, and that when we're showing up and asking them to show up in a way, or showing them how to show up in a way, that we're not feeling bad about that. This is what I meant about also. It's my responsibility to show up in the relationship, me, not me and you. I can go in the mirror and look at myself for that. My job is to show up in this relationship, me. Your job is to show up in the relationship, you. And as you show up in this relationship, my job is to remain open to the process of learning who you are and what you would need from me to serve this relationship. Vice versa, it's your responsibility. And I come to know, learn, and witness a lot of relationships that are one-sided and not from both ends. It's not a shared experience. It is a one-sided conversation, a one-sided giving, a one-sided I need. So the other person feels unvalued, unappreciated, and tolerated. I mean, that's just what it is. It's what it is. That kind of lack of awareness or not being honest about the situation has caused people to divorce, has caused long-term friendships to become enemies, has caused people who go to places to worship in churches to leave the place of worship and leave the place of worship because they felt unappreciated. And save me when it comes to going to the house of worship, wherever you go, saying, well, your job is to go to that place and you're going to there to have a personal relationship with God. But if all the evil spirits around the place is blocking you from having that because there is no love in the building, then you are at the wrong building. I know it all too well. I do. I've seen it. I won't talk about what I have not seen or been involved in. I'm not just going to assume it. That's why I'm coming to you, wonderful people, in this jewel box of conversation to ask you what your opinions are. And you are giving it to me today. I am loving the chats. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. This is how we teach people. This is how we show up. This is how we do what we need to do. When we're transparent. Transparency is uncomfortable, especially when it requires you to do your work. It's uncomfortable. Absolutely uncomfortable. But you can do it if you want to. You can make the change if you want to. It all requires and leans on you. Do you want to or you don't? And I want to have a transparent conversation. I want to have a transparent experience with my friends, my loved ones, and even the people I work with. When you have that at a place where you work at, you are being appreciated because they value your voice in the conversation, your work ethic, and the experience. It just does. You want to know what I mean? Go to a job where you are being, it's a dictation. I'm saying that wrong. It's dictative. Thank you. It's a dictative space. It's not an exchange learning place. It's not like going to college and sitting in a lecture hall and listening to a lecture. On the job, it requires a healthy place where you can be appreciated and show up in that job, in that space. And eventually, hopefully over time, your celebration is you're growing in the position, you're growing in your money financial status, you're growing. You should not be in any relationship, be it on the job, in your marriage, with your children, the way you came in it. No, if you are still at the same space, something's wrong. Something's clearly wrong there. If you don't feel yourself growing in that relationship, and I'm talking son to father, mother to daughter, friend to friend, church to pastor, parishioner to pastor, I'm talking if those relationships aren't growing, those relationships are just being tolerated. I was having a conversation with a family member of mine over the weekend, and this woman is very well known. She's a businesswoman. She serves our nation, our country in the military. And we were talking about her Instagram, and she had like 6,000 some people following her. And I was like, "Did you watch last week's show?" And she was, I forgot what she said. Oh yeah, because she shared it on Instagram. So she did watch it, and I'm like, how many of those 6,000 people are truly people that show up for you and really there for you? Or are they just numbers? Baby, while we're in it, I was like, "What you doing?" Because she was quiet. She said, "Oh, I'm deleting people. I'm deleting people. Like, I don't talk to these people. Like, they just in there." What is, I'm going to ask everyone in the comments, what is that about? Why do you think we have all these followers, or we're following all these people? Do you honestly think that that is a place where you're going to be celebrated? Because for me, it's just a number. If you're not, again, I will constantly say this, if you're not sharing my show to other people and we're on social media platforms together saying we're friends, then you definitely are doing a disservice for me. You don't call and check in and say, "Hey, how are you?" And I'm not talking about call me Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter. No. I require more than that. Unapologetic. You don't got to call me every day. But if I'm only hearing from you on the holidays, oh, that doesn't work for me. No, mamala. It just does not work for me. It does not. It doesn't work for me. So I don't choose to tolerate those relationships. And I've been called a couple of things, people. Let's be clear. I've been called a person who, I've been called a number of things where people had tried to make me feel bad for saying what I needed. Wait, really? Really? So you're going to try to make me feel bad for saying what I need in the relationship. Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it. I, I'm smiling because I love, I love being honest. And you don't have to be brutally honest. I have put things very subtle for people, and I gave them time and space to figure the subtleness of that conversation out. And as we continue to connect, stay connected, I'm waiting to see. Did they get it? Are they getting it? Is this making sense to them? And at the time when it's not, I'm figuring out another way to have that conversation with people. I don't just jump into that relationship thinking that you need to know what I need and I want you to celebrate me and call me and check on me and all those things. I don't have that expectation. I just hope that eventually it would morph into that kind of relationship, because that's what I'm going to be giving you throughout the relationship. I don't think anyone in the chat, and I know on personal levels, everybody in the chat, I don't think I show up that way. So I don't like feeling bad. I don't like feeling guilty when I'm saying what I need. And if you can't do it, I'm not going to shoot you down because you can't do it. You're actually telling me that you can't do it. And I think people tell you that when they may not verbalize it, but they're showing you. Because like Naomi says, some people don't know how to communicate that. And I agree. Some people don't know how to communicate it. So since they don't know how to communicate it, it's my job. Show them, Diamond, what you need, because the communication is something they can't receive right now. So you show them. And it may take a little time to show them. But staying in a deadbeat relationship that ain't showing up for you the way you need is, ma'am, I'm not going to do that. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. I know, looking just at the comments to see what's going on in the chat. It's a funny thing. I'm going to use this as an example. Roll with me. If you notice when I look away from the camera or I'm looking down at your comments, I remember somebody who's in this very chat says, you don't have to apologize and say why you're looking away from camera because people know what you're doing. But that's me trying to give you the very best and not look like this is all chaotic, because it's not chaotic, and that's over apologizing. So that's something I need to work on. If you hear, then I'm going to try to give you the best show ever, a good conversation, something to think about. If you're looking for air fluff and all that stuff that you can just go and be like, this is silly, then you probably won't find that so much here. You're going to find a little bit more substance here. So we all have a place to play in this conversation. So I apologize for apologizing all the time about when I'm not looking directly at you guys and looking at the comments here. But I don't want to miss anything. All right, so I want to open up the last couple of minutes of the show with some Q&A. Listen, guys, ask me some questions. You're sharing your comments, but is there any questions related to someone being tolerated opposed to being appreciated that when you think about this is something that you would want to ask me? I want to give you a couple of minutes to formulate a question. I would like each of you to ask me a question, actually, one or two, about my views about this. If you want to know. I would love to be able to answer that. Growing relationships with kindness and being supportive is what we all need on basic life. Yes, Naomi, very true. Very true. But oh my gosh. And Naomi, I know you know this. A lot of people don't know this. They don't know it. They don't know it. Their needs are so being ignored, overlooked. They don't know it. They are in relationships with people. They are uncomfortable with asking and saying what they need, because they're walking away feeling like there was a burden. It was appreciated, and the person didn't want to hear it. There's people walking in no space right now. People into relationships and have children in unhealthy relationships and their needs aren't even being met. I don't, I, I, listen, to be in a room full of people and still feel alone is a lonely thing. You surrounded around people, be it their numbers on your social media, in the home where you sleep, in the relationships with people you foster those connections with. And yet, when you look around, you are got a knot in your throat because you still feel absolutely alone. Absolutely alone. When we stay where we are not fed, then we are starved for our necessities. And those experiences can alter us as people. Well, listen, I'm going to need to invite Alice to come on to the show one day and just be a guest on here. Thanks so much. She sounds like a counselor, which is, I think she would do a very good job following her aunt in the field of counseling. But yeah, take your time, foster your own path. Anyway, yes, good comment, Alice. I absolutely agree. I agree. When we have to conform to someone else's expectations and not be true to our own, we are not who we are. We are who they want us to be. I said that on Instagram on one of the gems for the day. I guess I'm just different because I don't ask anyone to show up a certain type of way. If they show up in their own way, I'm appreciative. Rob, I think that's a good thing. Don't get me wrong. I think that's a beautiful thing that you just allow people to show up the way they want to show up and you don't judge them for that. I think that's freaking awesome. I think it's freaking awesome. But maybe you don't require much. Maybe you're not asking for anything. Maybe you don't have those kind of relationships that are that require other people to be in a shared space with you. So let me use for an example the platform here. I need each and every one of you in the comments to actually like the show. Thank you if you already did, and share the show on your social media feeds. I need all of you to invite 3 people to subscribe to the channel and explain to them why they should. Because if you believe in the platform, that's how you do it. So I use that analogy. Rob, what do you ask for? Well, actually, you don't ask for anything from people. And I know you personally. I know you a little bit more than the people in the chat. You don't require much of anything. You don't venture out. And that's not a bad thing. What works for you works for you. But I know you're not in a space of needing or venturing out on something that require other people to support you to get there. So your comment makes sense because you're not, you're not venturing any other place, looking for any other thing, and you don't need any supports of relationship. Actually, you're an introverted person. And I still even believe introverted people could benefit from the appreciated relationship opposed to the tolerated relationship. Okay, what did Alice say? Thank you, but I'm not equipped for that type of gift. That is all you. Okay. All right. Oh, good conversation. I'm not picky when it comes to help. Okay. Rob, it seems you like, wait a minute. Rob, it seems like you appreciate and meet people where they are at, which is very involved. Okay. and maybe you are not demanding. There are relationships where we might need more. Absolutely. Very good feedback, Naomi. I love when you guys talk to each other and ask me questions. Yes, absolutely. For sure. And that's what I was saying about Rob. You don't require much. You're an introverted person who really likes their time alone. You're in a place in your life where you don't require anything. So, yes, that makes sense for you. But many people that I come in contact with, they require something. Many of them don't know how to ask for it because they're feeling shameful in asking for what they need. And then when they do ask, people don't show up. And if they show up in a way that just only benefits them and not the other person, which for me, again, goes to the topic of this conversation. You're being tolerated and not appreciated. That's what it means. That's exactly what it means. We need to, if you are in a relationship right now, here's a challenge to you guys, and I'm hoping that I will see you next week. Let me look because I want to tell you guys. Sorry. Oh, so I believe we're expected to have a guest. I'm waiting for their confirmation. They're confirmed already, but I just want to make sure that they're going to be here on the show next week. So we should have a guest in the building. That's going to be nice. So, sorry, looking at my show board. There I go, apologizing, but okay. All right, Okay, so Rob says to Naomi's comment, I understand people may need more, but you can't fault someone for not showing up the way you want them to, because that might be them. Seem unapologetic to the point where they stop showing up. Well, here's the thing, Rob. My feedback to that is almost you're not showing up at all. It's not about you showing up the way you want to in the relationship. It's about you showing up in the way that the person needs you to show up. I.e., when people are married, they need each other to show up in that relationship, in that marriage, a certain way. But I get where you're coming from. If you have a superficial relationship and you show up in the bare minimum that does not require a lot, then yes, I get it. But everybody's relationship are not surface. A lot of people have very in-depth, deep relationships, and that requires you to do a little bit more than what you're doing, not the surface. You can't tell me that you're showing up in someone's life in a relationship surface. No, absolutely not. That's a surface relationship. And for me, that's someone tolerating me and not appreciating me. But I appreciate your comment. Allison, in my experience, sometimes a person can feel hindered or suffocated when they have communicated how they need help, and that's overlooked. And someone still helps how they want rather than, ding-a-ling-ling-ling-ling-ling. Come on, Alice. Yes, ma'am. She is on a roll today. Absolutely. And so insightful. Ooh. It can become very frustrating and cause distance in the relationship. Absolutely. We see that those who are counselors in the comments see that all the time. All the time. All the time. More than not. All the time. Absolutely. I agree, Rob. A person should not be faulted for not being able to provide what they are not equipped with. Yes, absolutely, Naomi. So, Rob, whoever those people that you share space with, time with, conversations with, if you're not equipped with that and they know that, then they need to take a look at that. They need to take a look at, well, am I asking for something from a person who is unable to give it? And if they're unable to give it, will I stay connected to that relationship until they learn how to get it so that they can give it? Because staying in a relationship with a person who can't give it because they're not doing the work to get it is being tolerated. Boom. Mic drop. All right. Well, we got 3 minutes before we wrap up today's show. So I just want to not shut it right off at the good comments here. I am so grateful, guys, that you guys came back for part 2 of this conversation. Go where you are appreciated and not tolerated, because I appreciate each and every one of you. I have a relationship with each and every one of the persons in this comments. I do. And I appreciate you for showing up and believing in me in this conversation today. And hopefully it's feeding you in some kind of way, right? It gets you to have an aha moment. An aha moment. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that after the show airs, which is going to get ready to end, you're going to click that share button and share it to your social medias. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Yeah, matter of fact, that's where we're at. So let's put it here. Share it to all of these places. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course you're here on YouTube. Share it. Share the love. Share the love. I agree. But we should also not stay where we're not poured into. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All right, look, people. I am so thankful to each and every one of you for coming and talking. I'm almost like, don't even want to leave. You guys are giving so much thing, especially I'm so glad to hear the voice, Alice's voice through the comments. I see a lot of growth there, Miss. I'm proud of you. Keep up the work. Keep doing the work. And be unapologetic about it. Just be healthy. That's what's important. All right, people. Thanks so much. Thank you. As I said, that you can always stay in contact with the show here at www.voicesgathering.com. Contact us here. www.voicegathering.com. The comments are right here and the website is right here. You can actually reach out that way. Please always venture into that way. You can always go to YouTube, but I'm trying to get you guys to always keep checking in with the website, see what new stuff is coming out, what the topic's going to be about, and what merchandise we're going to be having. We got t-shirts, mugs, and all those different things. So stay tuned. Okay. All right, my people. Thanks so much. I really appreciate you guys. And I hope that you will be here next week as we get ready to embark on a new conversation. All right. Until next time, be well, people. Love you guys. Thanks so much. See you next time. Bye.